So, I'm still. I can't believe we're at show number 101.
101, insane.
And Gavin Newsom, our governor, we went into further lockdown today.
Further
lockdown.
Like what?
I don't know. Even more restrictions taken
Are
away.
things closing?
Closing and hospitalizations are way up.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, we haven't gotten our tree yet.
No, we haven't gotten our tree. But what I think is kind of interesting is that the show is born out of lockdown, and we just keep getting locked down. So we should finally launch our Star Trek show.
Yeah. Well, I'll be done with this semester in 2 weeks, so we can start it then.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
That's a Total Recall reference for you. So here we go. We're going to talk about True Romance, which you'd never seen, right?
I'd seen parts of it. I think you watch scenes and then I've seen scenes from it.
Okay. Well, all right. We'll talk about it.
Yes, we will.
Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and your sommelier of cinema. But that's not why you tune into this show. You tune into this show for this lovely creature. And who are you?
I am Elysabeth Gwendolyn Belle, the ace, the arbiter of cinematic excellence, and the enchantress of entertainment.
The enchantress of entertainment. And this is Elysabeth's Whining About the Movies, episode 101.
101.
We're talking about a movie that is 27 years old, which I have a hard time believing.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I saw this movie, I actually had a bootleg copy of it before it opened. And it was a rough edit that I had on VHS, and I don't remember.
Before the movie opened?
Oh, yeah.
How did you get that?
I was trying to figure that out. Somebody who was working on the film or somebody at Warner Brothers might have slipped it to me. And I love this screenplay because this screenplay was floating around. It was a different time. And I didn't like the first cut of the film. I love the screenplay, but I didn't like the first cut of the movie.
Interesting.
I didn't like the first cut of the movie, but we're going to get into it. We're going to talk
All right.
about it. First of all, should we get our wine first?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. We're not going to have a two-hander like last time. No 2 bottles of wine.
No.
pre-gamage.
This is a regular length.
We're drinking
show.
a Coppola Pinot Noir this time. Francis Ford. He's got the Godfather Coda coming out next Tuesday. Would you like some?
Absolutely.
You know, one of the great things about this show is I've been able to keep my alcoholism at a reasonable level. I mean, keeping it up as opposed to like getting off the sauce.
That's why you came up with the show, so that you could drink.
Well, I did have Rip with Rob. I mean, this would be our 5th bottle of wine because we've had two-handers.
Right.
So 105 bottles of wine we've drank. I mean, think about it. Between 105 bottles of wine on this show.
On the wall.
On the wall. All right, so Elysabeth, this movie came out in 1993. You had Tony Scott.
Wait. Can we try the wine?
Oh, yeah, let's try the wine, right. Okay.
Yeah, this is Coppola wine. Pinot Noir.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Ooh, that's nice.
Like somebody has asked, have we ever had a bottle of wine we didn't like?
Once.
Yeah, I think once. You're right.
Once, but we didn't really say that we didn't like it, or at least I didn't. I just was like, oh, interesting.
Well,
I don't remember what movie it was, but yeah, that bottle was not good.
Well, okay, 1 bottle of wine and 105. Not so bad.
Not so bad.
Not so
I think
bad.
we're easy to please too. Or we buy what we like.
Well, yeah, we buy what we like. We're not going to. It's not like we're doing some exploratory. I mean, you know, if I was rich, then I would have one of those wine cellars in the houses we all look at.
Absolutely.
And we would just, I would drink like $50 bottles of wine.
Well, you know, it's always been my dream to have a vineyard and make our own wine.
Yeah, but you want a vineyard, you want alpacas in the backyard, you want like a whole menagerie. You basically want a farm and a vineyard.
Yeah.
I mean, I can barely keep up with YouTube.
Look, a girl can dream.
A girl can dream.
And
Okay.
yes.
All right. Well, I don't. I am a big advocate of dreams.
Yeah.
You know
Dreams are
who
important.
else dreams? Clarence Worley, the main character of this movie.
He does.
Played by Christian Slater. Now, what did you think of this film? What are your overall impressions?
I really liked this film.
You know, I really like this movie too. I've always, aside from the first time I saw it, when I saw the finished version. However, looking back on it now, I've seen this movie, I don't know, 100 times, 50 times, a lot of times. You know, this is one of those movies where it was a late night. You know, you're partying when I was a younger man, and this movie would invariably find its way on. Somebody would throw it on or something. So just because all the characters are so memorable, the dialogue is so great. But you know what I noticed when we were watching the movie this time?
What?
A lot of the dialogue, the great Quentin Tarantino wrote the script, obviously.
Right.
It kind of gets lost in the technique of the film.
Interesting.
Like, I'm a huge Tony Scott fan, and this movie came out 10 years after his debut feature, which was The Hunger.
Okay.
And he had The Hunger, he had Beverly Hills Cop 2, he had Top Gun, he had Revenge, he made Revenge, and then he made this film. And I think it feels, the way the movie's edited, and it feels a little nebulous, if that's the right word, a little murky. And yet, there
Murky
are scenes.
In what sense?
Well,
like
in terms of
story,
in terms of,
narratively, or
no, just in terms of maybe the dialogue. The story's great.
Yeah, the story's
but,
great.
You know, I think one of the great scenes in this movie is when the camera really stops moving and settles in, and it's the Sicilian scene, not Sicilian, the Sicilian scene between Christopher Walken and of course Dennis Hopper, where the camera finally stops, and it's basically flipping between two pieces of coverage with some inserts.
Yeah.
And it slows down. And you really can focus on the characters and the dialogue and the performances. Because the great thing about this movie is all the acting in it is great. And it's so much fun. And all of the characters, all the actors that just appear in this movie in basically bit parts.
Okay. I didn't really get that from the film. Like, I didn't feel like it was too fast in the beginning or anything like that.
I don't mean too fast. I just mean that you know, the characters are so much fun. I guess
Yeah.
I wanted to spend more time. You know, a Quentin Tarantino movie, you really get to watch the characters talk. And I feel sometimes that maybe Tony Scott's visual technique, his visual style, I mean, he's a very stylish director, this is a beautiful looking movie. It's really well shot by Jeffrey Kimball. But sometimes the style overpowers the substance of the film, I think. And that's why I really, that the Sicilian scene is so enjoyable, because you're planted in one place and you're watching these two guys act.
Right.
And there's so much tension in that scene. It feels like it's vintage Tarantino. You know, in terms of, it's just two guys talking.
Yeah.
And you know someone's going to fucking die.
And you're really drawn in because you can feel the emotion in that room. Especially when he starts talking about the origin of the Sicilians, you think, oh my God.
Yeah, you're like, all hell is...
He's going to die.
But
he's going to die.
He knows he's going to die. Oh, that's beautiful. You know, and even Christopher Walken, what's so great about that scene, the way it's written, is even Walken at the end is so impressed by the fucking cojones.
Right.
The balls on that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Worley.
Yeah. That he kills him himself. Like, he hasn't done that
since
he's always had
1984.
his henchmen do that. That's the dirty work.
I haven't killed anybody since Don Vincenzo. I mean, I love the fact that he says, I'm a lawyer that works for Blue Lou Boyle, I assume. Well, anyway, why don't we start from the beginning?
Okay.
And I think one of the great...
Okay, wait a second. Before we start,
Yes.
I would like to make a toast.
You would... Okay.
I would like to make a toast to Warren and Lorraine Wright. This is their date night, and Warren has convinced Lorraine to watch our show. This is her first time.
Oh, my God.
And he loves this film, so
He does love this film.
Here's to you, Lorraine.
And here's to you, Warren and Lorraine. Cheers to the two of you.
Cheers.
Although I hope that their date night goes well.
I hope so too.
I mean, I wonder. For me, it's like I hope they're watching whining about movies, and the cute coupleness of us leads to something wonderful. If you're a 2010 fan, wonderful for them. It's too bad. I mean, he was really into this movie. He couldn't wait.
Oh, he loves this movie.
He was talking about yesterday. He's like, when are you going to do it? I'm like, dude, it's tomorrow. He's like, I'm going to have date night with my wife. I mean, that's pretty exciting.
Yep.
I love that we've become a destination spot for romantic couples so inclined. Nothing makes me happier than that.
Yes. And it's not even Romantic Friday or Saturday.
No, but this film is romantic. It's so romantic. So yes, I have to say, and I'm forgetting the name of this actress, but there is an actress that is in the beginning of this movie that was in Unforgiven. She's in The Crow, and I'm let me see if her name is. I don't know if her name is here on this list.
Which character?
She's the woman sitting at the bar with Clarence.
Oh, in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. And she's like,
yeah, I recognize her face.
Yeah, and she's the whore that gets cut in Unforgiven, and she's the mother in The Crow, where Eric Draven says, "Mother is the name of God on the lips of all children."
That's a great line.
And she was in all these great, and they're all Warner Brothers. Well, The Crow's New Line, but whoever was casting these, and she kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
And she has a really interesting face.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who it is, but the movie opens with Clarence Worley. It's his birthday. He's alone. He's kind of depressed. He's at a bar, and he's watching an Elvis movie, and he's talking about again the dialogue. He says Elvis is prettier than most women, and he's like, I'm not gay, but if I had to fuck a guy, I'd fuck Elvis.
Yeah.
And then that woman says, I'd fuck Elvis. I mean, not now.
Not now.
It opens with this great moment.
Well, as a kid, I had a huge crush on Elvis. And I distinctly remember the day he died. And I saw the news on TV. I must have been like, what, 4, 5, 6 maybe?
Something
like that.
Something like that.
But I remember being very, very sad.
It was very sad. Well, this movie is he's got the gold Elvis sunglasses all the way through, which, by the way, are the same glasses that Buck, who likes to fuck, has in Kill Bill Volume 1.
The exact same ones?
Well, they're similar. I don't know if they're the exact same glasses. And then also, of course, what's so cool is, of course, Sonny Chiba plays Hattori Hanzo in Kill Bill. Well, in this movie, the movies that Clarence is going to go see are Sonny Chiba's trilogy, Street Fighter, Return of the Street Fighter, and Sister Street Fighter. And you want to take me to a Kung Fu movie? 3.
Yeah.
I want to take you to 3 Kung Fu movies.
And she's like, no, thank you.
That's not really my thing. And leaving Clarence Worley all by himself. Yes. And then, of course, the music starts that harks back to Badlands, Terrence Malick's Badlands, with Sissy Spacek and Martin Sheen. That kind of bells, dun 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 dun. That, and then you hear Patricia Arquette's voiceover about what was going on.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And it's setting up
moving from Florida and falling in love. The strangest place, Detroit.
In the strangest place, Detroit. God, people have fallen in love in Detroit, but apparently in this movie, it's a strange place. And then, of course, after this opening, which is a montage of Detroit, we cut to the exterior of the Vista Theater right here in Los Feliz, California, where you used to live.
Where I raised my children. We went to that theater so many times.
And you and I went and saw Logan Lucky, the Steven Soderbergh movie. We went and saw it there while your car was getting fixed.
That's right.
Right up the street. So we're no longer in Detroit. We're in...
And Michael Jackson did his sequence of Thriller in front of that theater.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he did.
The Vista in Los Feliz on Hollywood theater. Boulevard.
And it's very funny watching this again because how many times have I gone past the Vista? 100 million living in LA?
Yeah. It was like literally walking distance from my apartment.
And it was, we did walk.
Yeah.
And then after we have what we'd call a great meet cute where Patricia Arquette comes in and
he's in the theater at this point.
he's in the theater watching,
minding his own business, eating his popcorn. And a girl comes in wearing this crazy outfit.
Crazy. It looks like very thrift store chic, trashy chic.
Or what I used to call Zoe's friend. I don't remember. It was a cool, I don't know.
Shabby chic?
No, more. I don't know. I'll think
More
of it
than
by the
shabby
end.
chic?
I'll think of it by the
All
by
right.
the end of the show.
So then she dumps popcorn on him. They sit together. They watch the movie. They watch a little Sonny Chiba. And then outside, she's all into it. She watched all 3 movies. She's very excited.
She loved it. She's like karate chopping and kicking and...
And then they continue on. He takes her to the comic book store he works at. And what's very interesting is in the original script and in the original version I saw, he's talking about Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., that Sam Jackson plays in the comics. But he just says Nick in the movie. They actually... They probably would have had to reference or license the idea and showing. So a lot of that was sort of lost. The pop culture references in this film were very specific because Tarantino had written 2 scripts. He wrote True Romance and Natural Born Killers, and he sold them both. They were out of his control. And so a lot of the specificity of his pop culture references were kind of cut out of this movie. But there's a long soliloquy when he talks about Nick Fury and all that. And then, of course, they go to Ray's for pie.
They go to Ray's, yeah.
And Ray's is on Pico in West Los Angeles. So they've now gone from Hollywood, where the Vista is.
In Los Feliz.
At the edge of Los Feliz. And then they've gone to West LA to Ray's, which is it's still there. It's a great diner. It's been used in a million different things.
Yeah, I've been there, I think.
But it's so strange I'm in Detroit.
It is strange. But they did a great job of making it look like it was Detroit. It was all gray and dark and yeah.
And then, of course, Clarence takes her home to his apartment. There's a great love scene between the 2 of them. And then he gets up and then he wakes up and she's missing. Gone.
And he sees that the window's open, so he goes out there, and right outside of his window is a huge billboard, and you can walk out there from his window.
Ever since I saw this movie, I always wanted to live in an apartment where I could walk out onto a billboard. I mean, I think that's just the coolest thing. You know, if you live in an apartment in Hollywood or whatever, or Detroit.
Well, we could build a billboard right outside.
I know, but it would be more fun if it was like you were in like New York City, you know, and you lived right outside, like in Times Square. You lived outside a billboard. And you can climb out there and just like sit there with a chair and eat or hang out. I always thought
draw with a giant mustache on the billboard.
No. The billboard. The great part about the billboard would be you'd have to honor the billboard. So whenever they changed
what if it was for something you don't like?
No, it doesn't matter. Because you had the privilege of being able to walk out onto a billboard. So you had to honor the billboard. You had to the.
What if it was something you really, really, really hated?
Well, what's great about it is eventually they'll come and change it.
Okay.
So I mean, but I do love that, and then she basically reveals that she's a call girl and that his friend Lance, the owner of the comic book store. Heroes for Sale, I think it was.
Yeah.
Hired
her to give him a good time for his birthday.
And she's had 3 customers, and she's only been a call girl for 4 days. And of course, this starts gnawing away at Clarence.
Well, at first she's like, when you said you had a good time, was it just the sex? And he's like, well, no, the whole day was an amazing day.
Now, is that the kind of thing as a woman you want to hear? That the whole day was good, not just the sex?
Absolutely, of course.
So they meet, they clearly are made for each other.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt. And what I love about the Patricia Arquette character in this, first of all, I don't think anybody could have played this role but her.
She was amazing in this.
The performance...
I mean, amazing.
Like, all the acting in this movie, I think everybody just brings their A game.
Well, I mean, I get the sense that her personality is probably very similar to this character. Because how do you play this person and not play it so well if it's not really you?
But that's what a good actor does.
I think... I would like to think that she has that personality.
Well, me too. Or at least in 1992
I mean,
when they made
I was
the movie.
falling in love with her.
You can't not. I mean, she's so cute. And she's
so cute.
She's got great bazooms, and they're always on front and center.
Yeah.
She's always wearing the cleavage is threatening to spill out.
Yes.
Although, it's tasteful, you never see anything.
Right.
Which I think was nice. I kind of like. I mean, as much as I like flesh peddling. I like to see, but I kind of thought.
I think you do see it a little bit in the sex scene, but I mean, they are having sex. So.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. So.
But you got to see butt, but we didn't see any peen.
No peen for you.
No peen.
But Slater's got a nice ass.
He does.
He's he's a handsome dude. Mm-hmm. So then we cut to, while all this is going on, we cut to Drexel Spivey, played by Gary Oldman, a bad dude, a drug dealer, a man who believes he's black or half black. He tells people he is. He's really not.
He's not.
And there's a scene, and again, this is a scene that was much longer in the script and much longer in the version of the film that I saw, where these guys come in, they meet, they're going to do a drug deal, and Sam Jackson's in there.
Yes, he is.
And they have a great conversation a la Quentin Tarantino about eating pussy. Boy said he don't eat pussy. And Sam Jackson has the immortal line, I eat the pussy, I eat the butt, I eat every motherfucking thing. I love that line. He's a man after my own heart. Eat it all, Sam. Eat it all. That's right, damn it. But and then Drexel, you think something's going down, and then there's the one guy who says, he doesn't eat pussy at all. And you're like, it's not good, dude. I want to get in there and go, bro, not good. But so then Drexel and his man Friday, his henchman,
yeah,
they massacre, they kill these other.
Yes, they just shoot them, and it's crazy. He just kills them.
Hardcore.
Slaughters them.
And there's a whole suitcase full of coke.
Yes.
A lot of cola, as Bronson Pinchot says later. And hence the plot thickens.
Right.
So we see the prime mover of this movie. I guess you'd call it a MacGuffin, but whatever. It's not really a MacGuffin because it's not what they're looking for. It's what they have. So whatever that is. But yes, so they are that, but we don't know what that is yet. And then the next morning we meet Clarence and Alabama.
Yes, Alabama. Again. And they are walking out of the courthouse.
They got married. They get his and hers tattoos.
Yes, they do.
To celebrate their love.
Yes.
And they're cute as button.
They are adorable. They are so good together. Soulmates.
And then Clarence remembers who or what is a Drexel? Because she has told him about being a call girl and that he had asked did Drexel hurt one of his friends.
Well, he speaks to his imaginary friend who happens to be Elvis. And
played by Val Kilmer. And you never see his face clearly.
No.
No, I remember that you did, but I kind of when I first saw the movie, I guess it was a rough cut. I like that you never see his.
Oh yeah, I love that you don't see.
And he's great as Elvis.
He really is.
I always liked you, Clarence. Always will. It's so good.
Yeah, so he's in conversation with Elvis about.
That's his imaginary friend.
It is about being upset about her pimp. That her pimp abused her, and so he was really upset about that. And Elvis pretty much convinces him to go over there and kill him. He said it's easier to kill. I mean, it's harder to kill than to get away with it. Because Clarence was worried about getting away with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So he tells Alabama that he's going to go over there and get her stuff.
And get her stuff.
But she doesn't want him to. She's like, I don't want anything to do with that part of my life. It's gone. It's over. But he convinces her, and she gives him the address, and he heads over there.
He heads over there because today is White Boy Day. Today is White Boy Day.
He doesn't know that.
He doesn't know that yet. And he goes to Drexel's lair. And there's Mr. Majestic is playing on the TV, and Gary Oldman's performance. Oh my God! I mean, that's one of the things. Whether it's Sam Jackson talking about eating a butt, or whether it's Gary Oldman talking about and his henchman, but Gary Oldman, when he says they're talking about Mr. Majestic, and I know I'm pretty, and he sucks his
Yeah.
tooth, but I am prettier than two titties. And then
This scene kind of drives me nuts because he's like constantly swinging this lamp and the light is like constant. Oh,
it's great. But he puts it in his face. I mean, Gary Oldman is, and that's what makes this movie so much fun to watch, is you don't know. You kept saying, "Oh my God, look who it is." Yes. And it's so, the fact that all of these actors were willing to do these roles.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
it's mind-blowing.
Tony Scott would probably say, these roles aren't great, but I mean, if you say to a lot of film fans, if you go, okay,
great. Every role was great.
If you said like Brad Pitt was in this movie, right? If I said,
yeah.
Hey Elizabeth, remember that Brad Pitt's in True Romance? You would say to me, what would you say to me? You remember what he said?
Oh, he says, why you condescend me?
Don't you condescend me, man.
That's right.
And also pick up some cleaning products. I mean, I don't know if that was scripted. I don't remember if it was scripted or it's just
not.
But I don't know if this might have been after Thelma and Louise. I don't quite remember. I think Thelma and Louise was 91. This was
this was 93.
Yeah, but I don't remember. So this would have been after that. I mean, he was so great. Like Brad Pitt was doing these indelible roles in movies. Well, we'll get to him, but it's just, well. Anyway, all hell breaks loose. There's a gunfight, right. And Clarence blazes away, and he grabs a suitcase that he thinks is.
Well, he tells while he's like trying to get away from these guys and shoots them. He tells the other whores basically to fill up a suitcase with Alabama's things, and so they do that. But when he leaves, and also Gary Oldman takes his wallet while he's knocked out and looks through it and finds his driver's license, and then Gary wakes up. Clarence wakes up and shoots him. That's an important little nugget. He has the driver's license. He goes to grab the suitcase. He just grabs the suitcase that he sees and brings it home. And they soon discover that they're in the possession of probably $1 million worth of cocaine. Yeah, she opens the suitcase and she's
cocaine.
Like, "These aren't my clothes."
No. And it's a fantastic. I mean, therein lies the rub. So, Clarence,
and they're so chill about it. It's like they've got this huge suitcase full of cocaine, and they're just so chill.
But what I love about Clarence's character is he's not dumb.
He is not dumb.
He's very, very, very smart because he's seen so many movies.
Although he does make some mistakes.
Well, sure, of course he would, because he knows the world. He's a huge movie fan, so everything he does, he talks like he's in a movie. Right. He acts like he's in a movie. So we're watching a movie about a character that believes he too is in a movie. And he is. Right. So it's such a great. I mean, it's so much fun.
So much fun.
And then we cut to California.
Well, no, he goes to his dad's.
Well, no, not yet. We cut to California and we meet Dick Ritchie.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Michael Rappaport, the great trash-talking Michael Rappaport that I love to follow on Instagram.
Yeah. All his posts are the same, though.
But it doesn't matter. I mean, Michael Rappaport plays Dick Ritchie, and it's so funny because you're meeting a new character.
You are.
It cut to California,
right.
and it doesn't say Los Angeles, California. You just cut there, and here's a guy in the casting office. And what's so great about this scene, too, is you wouldn't know this unless you work in the entertainment business. And I don't know the actress's name. The woman they had cast to play the casting director is perfect. She looks like every casting director in Hollywood. She looks like the woman, our casting director, rest in peace, Linda Francis, who cast Swingers and Free Enterprise. And Dick Ritchie goes in to read for the revival of T.J. Hooker.
Right.
It's the new T.J. Hooker.
That's right.
And he does this scene. Get him! And it's just a great. And she's like, "You're a very fine actor. We'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch." He's
like, "Oh, okay."
And Dick Ritchie leaves. So we've met him. Then
his name is Dick Ritchie. That means his name is Richard Ritchie.
Richard Ritchie, which is Dick Ritchie. It's just, or Dick.
Dick.
It's just so great. And then we cut to we go to Clarence coming, and Clarence, he has a purple Cadillac.
He's a purple Cadillac.
Because why not?
Convertible
Cadillac
I
in
love
Detroit.
that.
In Detroit,
right.
And
I love his purple Cadillac. It's great.
And if you weren't already in love with this movie, Dennis Hopper turns out to be Clarence Worley's dad.
His dad.
And he's an ex-cop who's now a night watchman, night security guard, and lives in a trailer by the train tracks and the waterfront. I mean, it's
and he has a big dog.
Named Rommel.
Rommel.
Named after the German general that Patton fought, the big tank commander in North Africa. I mean, if this movie has not endeared you to it yet, every time, every scene, it moves forward, and you just like it more and more and more. Or at least I do. Do you?
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to check.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. And then, they haven't seen each other. He hasn't seen his dad in 3 years.
Right.
They have a conversation, and
he introduces his wife.
His wife.
His dad's a little bit surprised.
And
yeah.
And he says she tastes like a peach.
Right.
And he basically says, "Look, I'm going out to California. Here's where we're going. Just I wanted you to know. I want you to know I got married." And they take off.
Well, no. First, he explains what happened, and he asks him to find out
that's right.
From the cop friends if
they're looking for him.
They're going to find him. Yeah, if they're going to look for him. And so his dad does that and comes back to him and says, "Don't worry. He was part of a big drug ring, and so they think it's the other guy, his enemy or whatever that
That's right.
took care of him. So don't worry about it. You're not suspected at all. Why would they suspect you? You're not part of that world."
Right, and that's good.
So he's happy about that, and his dad offers him money, and he's like, no, I don't need any money.
I don't need money.
I don't need money. And they go to California.
They leave for California.
Oh, and as they're leaving, she says goodbye to Dad.
And she gives him a kiss, smacks him right on the lips, man.
Yeah.
And you're going like, oh, but you know what? In any other movie, that might have been gross. But because it's Alabama, it's just something she'd do.
Right.
And she. What's so funny is they're like the ultimate rockabilly couple. And they talk like they're in a rockabilly movie. They talk like they're in a modern Elvis movie, as if it was directed by David Lynch. Right. And so of course she's going to kiss Dennis Hopper on the lips.
Of course.
Why not?
And as they're leaving, he's like, she does taste like a peach.
And then you've got the Chantilly lace scene when they're driving out, like they're in the desert or whatever, and they call on the phone. They call Dick Ritchie.
They do.
And we're coming out there. Did you read my letter? And what do you mean your letter? I didn't. What? He hasn't got. But they're coming out there, and so we now know that Dick Ritchie is Clarence Worley's childhood bestest friend.
Right.
And they're going to see him in L.A.
They are.
And then we go back to Mr. Worley's trailer.
We do.
And we meet Christopher Walken, and like we talked about, one of the great scenes in movie history.
Yeah.
Apparently, the mafia guys, that we find out that all this cocaine was part of a mafia deal. Blue Lou Boyle, who we don't ever see, and then Vincent Cacardio, who is the name of. He says, "I'm the counsel for Blue Lou Boyle," but all the other characters call him Don Vincenzo. So
right.
So I always had in my mind he is the Don.
Right.
He's decided to take this into his own hands and make it right.
I mean, it's a lot of cocaine, so
it's a lot of money. It's $1 million.
He wants his product back.
He wants his product back. and the acting in this scene,
it's so good.
Christopher Walken is peak. Like, I've seen Christopher Walken play Russian roulette in The Deer Hunter. I've seen him dance, more cowbell. I mean, we've seen Christopher Walken. This scene, And his
I think
dialogue,
it's some of the best Christopher Walken
it might
acting.
be the peakest of peak Christopher Walken scenes.
He's amazing in this
When you
scene.
get to hell or whatever, you tell them you've never seen the devil so personified as you had in the man who killed you. You know, I mean, it's just the dialogue is so great, and that's why maybe I love the scene so much, because you know, you really get to sit down and listen to Tarantino's words and watch these guys. I mean, Dennis Hopper gets his arm or hand cut open. He gets handcuffed.
Yes, by Gandolfini.
By James Gandolfini. In case this movie didn't have
Soprano.
enough people, young Tony Soprano, perhaps as he's working his way up to take over, but he's in Detroit, so how does he get to Jersey? He's a guy
he gets there somehow.
No, well, you know, he's James Gandolfini's other brother.
Right.
He's young James. And it's so great when you see him. And also there's an actor named Paul Ben-Victor in this scene.
Who only speaks Italian.
Who only speaks Italian, that I edited a movie he was in later.
He was in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's been in tons of things.
Yeah. I recognized him too. But yeah, a room full of mafia.
And they're a room full of mafia, Sicilians, and probably the greatest racist put down in the history of cinema.
God.
The longest.
Cringy.
It's so great. I mean, we cannot say that on. We don't want to say that. Use the words.
Oh, of course not.
We can say eggplant. That's about it.
I mean, what he was saying, he was really trying to just sock it to him and make him angry.
And I have to tell you,
he knew he was going to die, and he knew he wasn't going to give him the information.
That's right.
So he just wanted to really piss him off.
I mean, if he's going to go out, he's going to go out in a blaze of glory. What I love about the scene, I have a question, Elysabeth.
Yes.
I've had a question for 27 years. So, Christopher Walken's character, Vincent Coccardio, says that Sicilians are the best liars in the world. And he learned as he was growing up that there are certain pantomimes for great liars. That's how he can see who's lying. He says men have 17 pantomimes, but women have 20. Tells. Women have 20. I've always wanted to know what those pantomimes were. What do you look for? I never know.
Oh, well, that's easy.
Oh, really?
If the person is fidgety and nervous, that's a tell. If they're not looking at you, that's a tell.
It was more of a rhetorical question.
If they look to the left, that is a tell. So if somebody's constantly looking to the left, they're lying.
Unless you're dancing the time warp, in which case it's just to look to the left. And then jump to the right. Put your hands on your hips. Sorry, that's a whole different.
I take offense because I'm left-handed, and so that's my dominant side. So if I look to the left, I might not be lying.
Well, it's a long scene. It's a long, protracted scene. It's like the movie stops, and it should. It just stops on this scene.
It's an intense scene.
It's an intense scene.
And so cringy. You're like, I cannot believe what he's saying.
I mean, you respect it. And what is so great about the scene is his response. Christopher Walken's like, "Ho! Oh!" He gets up. Oh! There's such admiration in what he's done. And Christopher Walken like reaches over and kisses him on the cheek. Oh! And he's still smiling, and then he walks over, and you really, at first, when you first see this movie, you're like, maybe he respects him so much that he's going to let him go.
I never had a hope that I was like, oh my God, he's going to die.
And he walks over and he's like talking to one of his men. There's a reverse, and he kind of does this thing with his mouth where he puts his tongue on his upper lip, and then he just turns around and unleashes just. I've never killed anyone since 1984. And then, of course, one of his men's like, they want to know where Clarence has gone with their cocaine. You know, bitch hole girlfriend.
And then, lo and behold, one of his henchmen finds a note on the fridge. This whole time, it was just right there.
It was just right there.
So his dad probably didn't even have to die.
Well, I mean, I think his dad would have died anyway because they're not going to leave a trail.
I guess so.
He couldn't. His dad was... And in a way, unfortunately, that was the price in the film. Clarence, everyone else pays the price for what he's done.
Yes.
He and it's kind of an interesting, the fact that his father pays the price, but everybody, ultimately everyone pays the price.
Yeah.
Even his wife.
Yes.
Alabama.
Yes.
And,
yes, she does.
If you want to talk about divine retribution or something, there is the hand of God is like, okay, dude, you're going to do this. Everyone around you is going to suffer. And I think there's something interesting to be made about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Then, of course, we cut to California.
Yes, cut to California. And they have arrived. And they
arrive at Dick Ritchie's apartment.
And they meet Floyd.
And it's very funny. Floyd is like a pet. He's like a cat. He's like a stoner cat. He's the stone cat that just never moves from this. And all he does is either smoking cigarettes or he's smoking the ganja out of a honey bear. He has a honey bear bong. Because why not?
And it's Brad Pitt.
And I've always wondered, like if you make a bong out of a honey bear, do you leave honey in it so you can filter?
Ooh.
Instead of having water in the bong, you actually just leave honey. Can you draw in smoke through the honey? Probably not.
I have no idea.
But man, I mean, just get some sweet dank nugs and just do a nice pull right through the honey. You ever wanted to do that?
No, I have never wanted to do that.
I've thought about it. I just never tried it. So.
Well, you were inspired by this movie. You thought, Brad is kind of smart.
Well, yeah. I mean, it must have an extra flavorful. The idea of having some sweet whatever combined with honey could you could have something.
Maybe.
I just don't know, like, why you would want to smoke. I mean, any plastic would not.
Plastic is
it's not
so
conducive.
Bad.
Like I've smoked out of a aluminum can. When I was in high school, we'd make them out of aluminum cans.
Not good, also.
Probably not good either. No, but it was easier than a plastic honey bear. So, and then they have this conversation where Clarence explains what's gone on, and he thinks that Dick Ritchie, because he's an actor, knows people in Hollywood that's going to help him sell $1 million worth of cocaine
for $200,000.
For $200,000 because he wants to do one big sale. And which, on one hand, is kind of absurd, but on the other hand, I understand where he's coming from.
He couldn't have asked for like $250,000. He asked for $200,000.
Well, he knows he's got.
That's like asking for $1 million.
Well, nobody wants it. He wants a quick sale. If you were to ask for more money, it'd be harder to get a sale.
It just seems so crazy.
And then, of course, Dick Ritchie says, I don't know anybody like that.
Right.
He's maybe. And this is so great. If you live in L.A., especially if you live in L.A. in your 20s, there's somebody in my acting class. Everybody has somebody in their acting class. I mean, I never took acting. I didn't take any, even though everyone said I should have been in it. I didn't. I was like, the reason I never wanted to go into acting is I was like, I am not going to go to acting class. Because everybody I met, everybody had an acting class, and then everyone had a friend in acting class. Oh, my friend in acting. And I heard that, I can't tell you, every girl I met in L.A., every guy I met in L.A., acting class, or their friend was in acting class. And
Kaz Graphics says he has a honey bear, a bong.
And he should, by God. And he's up in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, he could tell you if it has a honey flavor.
Well, that's the thing. I want to know, Kaz. He is the official cheesemonger of this channel. Maybe he can now be the official honey bear.
Honey bear?
I mean, what would you call that?
He's the official honey bear bong.
Yeah, you know.
The honey bear toker.
The honey bear toker. How retro. I wonder if there's a song about that. I wonder if like Bob Marley or Ziggy
token?
Marley had a honey bear. Like if they did that, like, and the thing about that is, when you don't have enough money, you only have enough money to buy weed, but you don't have enough money to get a great bong. So you've got your dank nugs, but I got nothing to smoke them in. So you use household products. And
an apple.
An apple's good. Apple. Well, an apple.
Does that flavor it?
Yes, a little bit. Anyway, so Dick Ritchie's like, there's one guy that I know, and his friend Bronson Pinchot from Beverly Hills Cop, and when he shows up, what did you say?
Wait, I was thinking about the apple.
Oh, from
bong.
Bosom Buddies.
Sorry. Oh, it's Balky. It was Balky.
Was it? That's not Bosom Buddies. It's
no.
Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers.
It was Balky.
It was Balky.
I watched that show.
Bronson Pinchot, who I mean, again, another great performance. Not as good as his performance in Beverly Hills Cop 2 or Beverly Hills Cop the original.
I thought his performance was great.
He's great though. Don't cover this up. This is like the breast of a dog to scrub for the customer. It's not sexy. It's animal. And what's funny was he was in Beverly Hills Cop in '84. So it's 10 years later, and he barely looks like he's aged.
Right?
He looks great.
Yes.
And he plays Dick Ritchie's friend, who works for a thinly veiled Joel Silver wannabe, Saul Rubinek, who plays Lee Donowitz. And Lee Donowitz is basically playing Joel Silver, who I worked for, who was my executive producer on Hills Run Red. He's playing Joel Silver that I worked for 2 years before.
Oh my God.
He even looks like Joel Silver. And Joel Silver is a big Hollywood producer. He made a movie called Coming Home in a Body Bag. So, and the plot now is that they're gonna sell this cocaine to Lee Donowitz.
Right.
That Elliot Blitzer.
Balky.
Yes, Elliot Blitzer, who works for Lee Donowitz.
Elliot Balky.
Elliot Balky. And they're gonna set up this whole thing, and they take they take Elliot to an amusement park.
Right. They're like, where should we go? And they're watching TV, and Alabama sees a roller coaster. So she's like, get a roller coaster.
And there's something about this movie that we should mention. Every time somebody turns on the TV in this movie, there's a Warner Brothers movie called Free Jack playing, which is an Anthony Hopkins, Emilio Estevez science fiction movie. There's no explanation. But it's like they had to license a movie, so Warner Brothers is like, okay, here's Free Jack. I think it's because Morgan Creek produced this movie, and they also produced Free Jack. So every time they turn on the TV in this movie, Free Jack is playing.
Oh, that's hilarious!
I know.
I didn't notice.
No, but it's true.
That's awesome.
And when I saw this movie the first time, I'm like, why is Free Jack always on TV in this movie? It's not when they're in Detroit.
Oh.
But, or maybe it is, but Free Jack is always playing on
this.
Oh,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
I like that. That's weird.
It is weird. So they go to the roller coasters. They go to Magic Mountain.
They go to Magic Mountain. I have been on that roller coaster. It is awesome.
I think it's the Revolution.
Yeah, it is.
They're on the Revolution, which, by the way, the Revolution, for all of you thriller fans out there, if you go back and watch the mid-'70s movie with George Segal and Timothy Bottoms, Roller Coaster, the Revolution, that roller coaster is in that movie, which, by the way, would it surprise you to know that I own 101 Films out of the UK, put Roller Coaster out on Blu-ray in 2 versions, and when I saw Roller Coaster for the first time, it was in Sense-Around.
I have not seen it. Is it the Roller Coaster of Love?
It might as well be. Certainly the Roller Coaster of Love, the Revolution was the Roller Coaster of Love in this movie. And of course, what's great is, I mean, they may have cut this, but he's barfed all over himself. He gets sick. And it's so funny that they tell him what they want to do. And you see Clarence, he's so cool.
Yeah, he like really knows what to say and do. And he makes Balky call Lee
Donowitz.
Boss. Yeah.
Who's on PCH.
Yeah, and he's
Malibu.
like, why are you calling me on a Saturday?
Sunday.
On a Sunday.
Why are you calling me, Elliot?
And he's like, oh.
And then Clarence picks up the phone.
He's like, he wants to talk to you. And he's like, what? And then he picks up the phone and just starts talking to him.
I want to open Dr. Zhivago. I mean, and Clarence, it's so great. The only the dialogue like Quentin Tarantino could write. It's just so good.
So good.
It's so good. And they set up a meeting. Like, and this is another thing. If you... The idea of having hotel rooms in Hollywood, like producers have hotel rooms, they go and they stay in hotel rooms or whatever where they take meetings. This was something, and it was definitely a part of what happened at Silver Pictures. At Joel Silver's company, whether it was him or Michael Levy or the other. It's right out of... It was real.
Why? Why would they take meetings in hotel rooms?
Well, because they can do it on the weekends. They can have food brought up. If they need to party, they can party. You can do whatever you want. You have these... Whether it's a bungalow at the Beverly Hills Hotel or whatever, or whether it's the Four Seasons, or... this is something that was a staple of certain producers in Hollywood.
Interesting.
Because what they would do is you could have actresses come over, you could have parties over there, you could do whatever.
Wow.
Yeah. But Lee, there's like a screen there, and like I don't know if it's an affectation that you don't hear much about anymore.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a part of early 90s Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, come to the hotel. Like every Wednesday he rents this suite and does business.
Well, he
outside of, because when you're on the studio lot, then you have to call up security and you have to have people brought onto the lot.
Right.
And there's a record of it all.
Yeah, yeah. And people know exactly what you're doing. They can see who's coming in and out of your office.
So you can't have your Coke dealer show up. And you can't have whatever actress you're promising a role to.
Right.
You can't, and that's why people would do these kinds of things.
Got it.
And it was definitely it was something I was certainly aware of. and
did you ever have a meeting in a hotel?
Oh, certainly did.
Whoa.
It wasn't bad.
Oh, so why'd you go? Oh,
I had a lot of fun.
Well, we know this.
The 90s were a hell of a lot of fun. All I can say, it was great. And
yeah. So anyway,
yeah, that was great. But that was a very real thing. So come bring me to the hotel on Wednesday.
Yeah. So he tells Elliot to bring everyone.
Bring everyone. Bring the entire cast.
Right.
I love how everyone's talking in movie metaphors now.
Right.
And then we find out, while they're doing all these things, James Gandolfini pays a visit to Floyd.
He does.
Has Dick Ritchie's address because the mafia has their...
And innocent Floyd just always gives away information.
Yeah, he's like, he doesn't know. Like James Gandolfini comes in,
Yeah. He's like, are you Dick? Are you Dick Ritchie?
No.
No. He's like, well, do you know Clarence?
Yes, I do. They're at the Safari Inn, man. And it's.
He's like always giving out information.
Always giving out information, and so by the way, the Safari Inn, another very famous LA landmark that's on Olive Avenue in Burbank, right down the street from Warner Brothers.
Oh, okay.
It's actually not quite. It's about like a mile down the road from the main gate of Warner Brothers on Olive Avenue, between downtown Burbank and Warner Brothers.
Oh, okay.
So it's not in Hollywood. It's in Burbank, and they keep having these scenes where Clarence backs out of the. We now return to Bullet, already in progress. He backs out, and it's so funny because they cut from that street. They cut from Olive Avenue to Sunset Boulevard.
Yes, of course.
Because as if the Safari Inn, which I always kind of thought was odd.
Why?
Because for anybody that knows LA, there's no verisimilitude
But
here.
they do this in movies all the time.
I know.
If you don't live here, you would never know. And there are those kind of motels everywhere.
Yeah, but the Safari Inn, I think, as a matter of fact, if memory serves, they had a huge True Romance party.
Oh, very
at the Safari
cool.
Inn. I went by it when it was winding down, but there was like hundreds and hundreds of people outside where the pool is. So they go back to the Safari Inn, and Clarence goes to get some food.
Yeah, so they get a room, and Richie leaves, and it's just Alabama in the hotel room, and Clarence goes to get them food. And he leaves, and she walks into her hotel room, and there's somebody in there. And what does she do? She giggles.
Yeah, and again, talk about a strong female character.
Yeah.
Alabama is not stupid either.
She is not.
She reads the room, and she knows what's up. And
she knows.
And it is again a scene that is almost as uncomfortable, if maybe even more, because the potential for violation is.
Yes.
And James Gandolfini and her have this long, protracted scene that is a phenomenal scene.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing scene where, James Gandolfini talks about his first time killing somebody. He beats the shit out of her, interrogating her, and it is uncompromising, unflinching, and brutal.
It is so brutal.
It is so brutal, and she's being violated, and he doesn't rape her.
No.
But the threat is always there.
Of course. It's always there. And she finds a corkscrew. Well, she's knocked out, and then she wakes up and finds a corkscrew. And he's going on and on and on about, that the first time you kill someone, it's really, really hard. But then it gets easier and easier. And now he's like, he enjoys watching the look on the person's face. And he's going on and on about this. And then he's like, oh, it's under the bed. He realizes the Coke is under the bed. And she's like, mm-hmm. And he gets the Coke out, and then she holds up the cork. You think like she's going to surprise attack him and like hit him with, no. He looks up and she's holding up the corkscrew like this at him.
But in Tarantino fashion, what's so great about that scene, like when she holds up the corkscrew, he admires that.
Yeah, he does.
The same way that Walken admired what.
Yes.
So in a movie in lesser hands, it wouldn't have had this. Like the back and forth, the power play that's happening between the two of them. The fact that she's standing up to him, you got a lot of heart, kid. Like the reason he could have just blown her away.
He could have.
But he's actually there is a little bit of empathy in the kind of person he admires his strength. He's going to kill her anyway,
right?
But he admires his strength and at least gives her like these moments, like almost like he's playing with his food or something.
Yes, he is.
But it's still he's not just a cardboard cutout villain,
right?
He's a mafioso. But I think the great thing about Tarantino's writing is
these characters have depth.
They have every character.
They have so much depth, and you feel like this is a real person. Is not just a character.
Right.
Every single character in all of his movies.
All of his movies, and that's what makes them stand apart. There's not any cliched character.
There is no cliched character
in any Tarantino film.
And these characters, their actions are not predictable because they're so real.
Right. There's even a great moment here where Clarence goes to like Tommy's to get chili burgers.
Right.
And he sees a guy reading, I think it's Newsweek, and it's an Elvis cover. And this guy, I just love this. He goes, hey, I read that issue. And he pulls the issue out of the guy's hand and he's explaining. He suddenly goes into this Elvis diatribe.
Yeah.
And this guy at first is like, who the fuck are you? And then he's like listening, like, oh, this guy is clearly knows his shit. And it to me, because Clarence has no, he loves what he loves and he's sharing his life. There is no, he's cool and that kind of thing reminded me of me. I'm like, oh my God, I love this. Like I'd walk up to somebody and go, oh my God, I love that thing. I can't help myself.
Exactly, and probably Tarantino the same. So that's why he writes his characters like that.
Yeah, you go up and you want to bond with somebody. If somebody's reading something, you're like I can't help myself if somebody's reading a book. If they're reading a book and I love the book, I'm like, oh my God, how great is that book? Like I will walk up to a perfect stranger.
Yeah, you will. You talk to anyone. People behind us in line, you'll just start talking. They'll notice your T-shirt, and you'll just go into some.
Yeah, but that's what life's all about. Every person you meet has a story to tell you haven't heard. But I love that any other movie they would cut that out, but they're still developing character.
Oh no,
there's
it's
character
great.
moments. It's just
it makes everyone so real in the film. I think those moments are the best moments. So yeah, he's amused that she's holding up the corkscrew, and he's like, "Come on, bring it to me." And he thinks she's going to stab him in the chest, and she goes for his foot, and that enrages him. He is pissed.
And the scene becomes even more perilous.
Yeah, then you're like,
thrown through the glass
shit. Now he's throwing her around, and she's so smart. Like she's thrown into the bathtub. She gets the shampoo and puts it in his eyes. Man, does that freaking piss him off. And
then she uses the toilet, the top of the toilet.
Yes.
Which what's so great about that is everyone knows how heavy that is.
So heavy.
Everybody who's ever had a clogged toilet, which is everybody, knows what it's like to pick that up, that porcelain, that heavy porcelain. And she just starts battering him over.
Yeah. Yep.
And then kills him.
And she kills him. And she is like freaked out and pissed off at this point. More freaked out. And she just like shoots him, and then she like is beating on him, and that's when Clarence comes in.
And they get the hell out of there because the gunshots and
they get the hell out.
And they drive out to the Burbank airport, sit by a tree, and he cleans her up and everything.
Yes, he cleans her up and
which sets the stage for the climax.
Well, they talk about where they want to go, and she's like, Cancun.
I know, even though she's almost lost her life, and they're still talking about, where are we going to go spend our time, honey? Where are we going to go?
Well, he's lovingly cleaning her up. It's a very sweet scene. But then you feel sad, like Alabama got beat up, and Clarence is like, fine.
Yeah, but he feels terrible.
Of course he does.
No, because he's got a lot of empathy. He's actually a really good guy.
He is a really good guy.
And you know that their love for one another is unwavering.
Yeah, they're soulmates.
They're soulmates.
And so then what happens?
Well, then we'll get into it because we've been talking about this movie now for I guess only an hour.
Only an hour.
It's all good. And then they go to see Lee Donowitz in the hotel.
That's right.
And it sets the whole end of this movie in very Tarantino-esque style.
Oh wait, but before they go to the hotel, Balky gets caught because he's driving on Mulholland Drive, going really fast, and
he's got why Lee gave him his white convertible Porsche, we don't know. His Porsche Carrera. Right. And he's driving, and he's got, again, an actress. Again, the early 90s were terrible. If you had any position of power in Hollywood, it was terrible. You know, you could always have actresses come visit you at the studio. It was... Yeah, it was... But, and then they get pulled over by a cop. And then we have to... I'm glad you brought this up. I would have skipped right over this part. Because this is a big part because we have Quentin Tarantino. So... Balky gets caught, and this girl, he's having an argument with this girl, you know, this actress, who was like blowing him in the car when they're driving, and then she gets pulled over, and he wants her to hold the cocaine. They have a ton of cocaine. She's like, I'm not going to hold that.
Yeah.
And they're kind of fighting.
It's the sample that he was bringing to his boss.
Yep.
And she's like, nope, I won't hold it. Nope. He's like, come on, put it in your bra. Nope. But they won't look there. Nope. She refused, and then she flings it out of his hand, and it bursts open all over his face when the cop walks up. So,
and then we meet these cops, yes. And the cops, you've got.
What's that guy's name? Because he was in everything too back then.
Well, you got Tom Sizemore.
Yeah.
Who was in Heat.
Yes.
He was in and he had his own drug problems, but it's Tom Sizemore and Chris Penn, Sean Penn's brother, who starred in Reservoir Dogs, Quentin Tarantino's movie that came out a year before. So you got Sizemore, and then you got Michael Beach as part of their department, and Ed Lauder has an uncredited appearance in this movie as their captain, who has to okay their investigation. He's like, they're like, this guy's gonna rat out, we're gonna get this great bust, we're gonna get all this cocaine, we're gonna
and they're always like joking and just like laughing at everything. It's pretty crazy.
And they terrify poor Elliot.
Yeah, they scare him. They're like, you're gonna go to jail, or but then they convince him to wear a wire.
They do what all cops do. All cops threaten men when they're in the position with being violated in prison. That is always a cop's go-to position. Always. Not that I would know that.
Really?
Well, I've just witnessed it a number of times. I've seen it actually play out in real time.
How could you see that?
Well, certain instances I found myself in.
So you were being interrogated?
I was not. No. The first time I ever saw it was the first time I ever got arrested. When I was working on Free Willy.
Okay.
And it was for a traffic violation. It was in Glendale. I got taken in, and there was a kid who was 17
Why
years old.
would you be taken in for a traffic violation?
Because it was a bench warrant.
Again? Because you had a ton of tickets?
No, I didn't have I had one ticket that I had got on spring break before I moved to L.A.
That's why they arrested you?
That's why they arrested me while I worked on Free Willy. I never was. I was not there for very long. But what I saw was there was a kid in a jail cell. It was his 18th birthday, and he'd run away from home.
Oh, you did tell me.
I tell you this, and he stole an iron from like a department store, an iron from like a Walmart or something, because he wanted to iron the one suit he was wearing to go to a job interview.
That's so sad.
And the cops said the same thing. You're going to get taken down to county, and here's what's going to happen to you.
For stealing an iron? That's just cruel and terrible.
Well, it was, what can I say?
That's really shitty.
That was a week before the LA riots, too. It's pretty good.
I wonder what happened to that guy.
I don't know.
That's really sad.
I don't know. That was a funny story. That and a very drunk biker who was talking about how he fell off the wagon and his wife was going to leave him. It's a true story, by the way. Whatever that happened a week before the LA riots, whenever that was.
We could make a movie out of your life.
Was...
Oh, wait a second. You already did.
Yeah, but I didn't cover that period of time. A little too early. That was more mid-90s. But anyway, so the cops now have Elliot Blitzer. He's going to wear a wire to this meeting, and they're gonna nail Lee Dunawitz for buying this cocaine.
Right.
What they do not know is, as this meeting is setting up, I mean, great Tarantino showdown. The mafia guys, the ones that are remaining without James Gandolfini, I don't know if they know he's dead. You never know if they know he's dead or not. I would assume they did.
I know, they never really mention it.
They never do that. But the mafia guys go back to meet Floyd.
They go back.
They go back to meet Floyd, and they all walk in with guns.
Yes.
And Floyd's like, like he looks at all the guns, like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Come on, man. And in he says, you guys want to smoke a bowl?
And then they like cock their guns.
It's
like,
so. It's Brad Pitt is so good.
He's so good.
Guys want to, and it's the like honey bear. You want to smoke a bowl? Sure. It would have been kind of funny if all of them like took a hit off the honey bear bong though.
Yeah, but
I
no.
mean it would, because they're all in suits. But anyway, so Clarence and Dick Ritchie and Alabama, they go meet Elliot at the hotel.
Yeah.
And they go upstairs to go meet Lee Dunawitz to sell the cocaine.
Yeah, and Balky's like really, I mean, Elliot is like really, really nervous. He doesn't want to really do this. But...
And there's a great scene where Clarence pulls his gun on Elliot. What's waiting for us up there?
Yes.
Because it's, again, his entire knowledge of the world is informed by movies. But he knows it's all smart. He knows what to do. He's not wrong. And what's great about that scene is you're like, holy shit, does Clarence know?
Yeah.
And Elliot breaks it. I just want my mom to come and take me away from here.
No, but he's like, will someone come get me?
Somebody come get me.
Because he's talking to the cops. He's like, because they told him if something goes wrong, we will be in there and we'll get you. And so that's what he's saying to them. He's like, I wish somebody would come and get me. Come and get me.
And then you got Tom Sizemore and Chris Penn going, hey, he's going to shoot him. No, I love this kid.
I know, they're like laughing. They're like, oh, he's going to get shot.
Yeah, but again, it's just these characters and the situations are so enjoyable, and they keep just adding characters. I mean, it's any other movie would have added. But
the thing is, like, you don't get mixed up because the characters are so memorable and they're so deep. Like they're like real people that there's so many characters, yet you don't get confused as to who is who. No,
and the fact that they've added these cops at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Chris Penn, Tom Sizemore, and Michael Beach. And Ed Lauder, and it's great. It's just great.
Yep.
And then everybody goes up.
They go up.
And they meet. And again, another great scene. Saul Rubinek is there with his two bodyguards that are packing heavy artillery. And then you see Clarence go into pitch mode, like he's the ultimate pitchman. And it was here's how you ingratiate yourself to a Hollywood producer. And it's so good. So good. And the scene turns into one of the great showdown moments.
Oh my God, it gets insane.
The cops storm in, and you think that's enough. Like against the two bodyguards. I don't like cops.
Right. So they don't want to throw down their arms, even though the cops are like, throw your guns down. And they're like, no, I hate cops. And so there's so much tension in the room. And at this point, Clarence had gone to the bathroom. And Alabama is like on the couch with the money. And everyone's freaking out at this point.
And then the mafia shows up.
And then the mafia shows up. And then it becomes a whole showdown. Like, they just, like...
Well, what's great is, it's Bronson Pinchot's like, Officer Grimes, can I go now? And Saul Rubinek realizes that his own... It wasn't Clarence that called the cops. He wasn't being set up. It was his own guy.
His own guy.
You know?
And I was thinking, that was really dumb. Like, he'll never act
He'll
again.
never work in this town again! Like the cliche. And then, of course, all hell breaks loose.
All hell breaks loose.
And an incredible explosion of balletic gun violence.
Yeah. And Alabama and Dick, get down really low on the ground. And there's like tons of shooting, and then there's still a few people standing, and they end up shooting each other, and then it's like down to like one cop, and
Paul Ben Victor, the Italian speaking henchman. Vaffanculo,
Yeah. And he
tries to bluff.
He throws his gun, and they're like, okay, good, and then he stands up and he's got another gun. But then they end up blasting each other away, and
then the Alexander Goodenough wannabe, the kind of bigger Alexander Goodenough, the blonde guy, is like, I need an ambulance, and Chris Penn's like, this is for Cody, blows him away. And then so now there's only one cop standing. That's it, one guy, and Alabama, because Clarence came out. Clarence finally talks to Val Kilmer before the gunfight.
Yes,
Elvis for the last time.
Comes out of the bathroom, and
I always liked you, Clarence.
The cop shoots him.
Always will.
And so she's
he gets grazed in the eye.
Yeah, but Alabama thinks he's dead, so she kills the cop.
She kills the cop. She kills Chris Penn.
She does.
And she gets him to the side just without the vest.
Yep.
And then ultimately, and Dick Ritchie runs away as he should. He escapes.
Yes.
By the way, we forgot to mention he did get the part in the T.J. Hooker. He did. He's going to be in the revival of T.J. Hooker.
And he got away, so he'll get to do it.
He got to do it. And then Alabama gets Clarence out, and she's smart enough to take Lee Dunowitz's $200,000 that was going to pay for the coke.
Yes, that's their money.
And again, they get away scot-free because the mafia is there. No one will ever know anything about.
Yeah, there's one mafia guy downstairs, and he took a hostage. And now all the cops that have come since the shooting started are all focused on that guy. So they are able to sneak out. With the money, they're done. They're gone.
They're out. They escape. Yeah. And then we cut to like 3 years later.
Yeah. And they're in Cancun.
They're in Cancun on the beach, and they have a son named Elvis. And they're still in love, and Clarence has a patch over his eye because he lost his eye. The sun, literally the sun, a giant Mexican sun is setting the way it only sets in Mexico.
The end.
The end.
They live happily ever after with their $200,000.
With their $200,000, and in Mexico that goes a long way.
I guess it does.
Especially in 1993.
Exactly.
So Elizabeth, what did you think of this movie?
I love this movie. It's so good.
It is so good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this is a studio movie. Well, it's Morgan Creek, released by Warner Bros. This movie made no money. Made no money. This movie was a flop.
What the hell?
It cost $12 million and it made $12 million. It did not make any money, which...
Why?
I think this film...
It was chock full of, like, amazing actors.
This film was a complete failure of the Warner Brothers marketing department. The name of this movie, True Romance, is a throwback to romance novels, to comic books, to romance comics. They did not understand anything about this movie, the marketing department. This film, nowadays, the marketing department would have had each one of the characters would be on posters. This movie, they would have understood how to market this film. When this film came out, it had one of the worst marketing campaigns ever. The poster, there was a poster where you see Christian Slater fire, it's a photograph of him going, rah! Like they made this look like some kind of low rent action thriller. This film should have, it should have talked about its pulp origins. I mean, the failure of the marketing of this movie is it's amazing to me that it failed. The way
Yeah,
and
that's
nobody
crazy. It's
nobody
so
went and saw
good.
it. It made $12 million. This movie was a wash. It
That's
lost
insane.
money.
That is crazy.
They didn't take a bath on it, but it lost money. It did very well on home video, but still,
Sad.
it is
Really
sad.
sad.
And we don't get movies like this
No, we don't.
anymore,
We don't.
and it's a bummer.
It is a bummer.
But so you loved it.
Yes, I did.
You have nothing more to say. No, you cannot.
I mean, we just spent an hour and a half talking about it.
Wait, is it an hour and a half? Kind of. Well, an hour and 15 minutes. We have a few letters.
Awesome.
A few letters to read. This comes from Timbula the Spider Monkey, our friend Tim, in I think no, Tanzania. No, he's. I'm just kidding. He's down under.
Yeah.
Hi, Rob and Elizabeth. I was hoping to have this email written and sent in time for the Living Daylights episode of WINEning, but as I sat down to write it out, it turned out to be far. Oh wait, I already read this one. Remember that he talks about? Yeah, I read this.
Yeah,
this is an old letter.
James Bond.
I don't know why. I'm sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to read your letter. That was an old letter that we already read. This one comes from Jeffrey Mao, the chairman of the channel. Jeffrey Mao says, "Greetings, Robert and Elizabeth, Lord and Lady of the Movie Grapevine." Whoa, Lord and Lady of the... Okay, I need that artwork. Where's the Lord and Lady of the Movie Grapevine? Once again, it is I, the chairman, writing to you about my appreciation for QT Quentin Tarantino. Yes, it has been a while since I've written a letter to you. Work has been busy, life has been busy, and while I thought about writing something over Thanksgiving, I thought I'd rather relax. You should. I've been watching a lot of stuff from my recent excess purchases, from John Carpenter's Halloween on 4K to Lucio Fulci's films from Blue Underground to Dario Argento and to Carrie, to name a few. I've been enjoying your and Dieter's show, Let's Get Physical Media. By the way, can I submit a video to it? Hell yes, you can. However, since you guys have been on the QT train, yes, I will refer to him as QT since it's faster than writing Tarantino, I wanted to chime in with my thoughts and appreciation on the influence of Quentin Tarantino in our lives as film aficionados and appreciators. While his own films are now an oeuvre to be loved and appreciated on their own, I'm referring to his vast influence on literally the types of films that have been made okay, or in fact cool, to be watched and liked. While I'm sure that he is not the only one or the first one, Quentin Tarantino made you want to go out and watch the films that he loved growing up, and while working in that video store, writing his scripts and hoping to get them sold and made into films. I was at the right age of being a late teenager and hit the video store in search of his influences like pulpy film noirs such as Kiss Me Deadly and Night in the City, to foreign films, silent films, westerns, and especially Hong Kong cinema, of which I was quite the fan. Once Quentin Tarantino gained fame and fortune in Hollywood, he gave back to the industry, especially in bringing light and attention to previously unappreciated and in fact shunned and derided genres such as blaxploitation, exploitation, giallo, horror, pornography, and all sorts of grindhouse fare. He didn't just use his words, but he backed them with actually seeking out and collecting film prints. I have to say, Jeffrey, you're absolutely right about this. I discovered Wong Kar-wai, one of my favorite directors, because his releasing company, Rolling Thunder, brought Chungking Express to America, and that was the first Wong Kar-wai film I ever saw, and it blew me away. So you're absolutely right about that. I dare say there's probably not a single B film of any genre ever made that Quentin Tarantino has not either seen, owns, or has least heard of. Or at least I get that impression from him. He's not just a great filmmaker, but one of the foremost film fans of all time in terms of film seen and knowledge gained. As he gained success in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino also fostered relationships with other like-minded filmmakers, and probably the most well-known is Robert Rodriguez, who actually wrote music for Kill Bill Volume 2. I knew it was fairly inevitable that the two of them would get together and do projects together, as their styles and sensibilities meshed really well. While I never watched the collaboration that Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez did with Allison Anders and Alexander Rockwell, Four Rooms, though I obviously heard a lot about it, it was the kind of thing that I hoped to see more of from them. However, entertainment changed, and very few of that amazing generation of independent filmmakers has survived commercially and critically to this day. It's true. If there's one thing that I miss about those days, it's the lack of camaraderie between today's filmmakers like there was then, or with the crowd from the 70s like Coppola, Scorsese, Spielberg, Lucas, De Palma, and others. However, even when I was deep into exploring those films, it was the grindhouse and exploitation stuff that I was missing. I don't know why I wasn't aware of them or into them, but it could be just due to the fact that they were hard to find on video, they were, and not even available. It's not until recently, with the advent of smaller boutique physical media shops, that we've gotten a lot of stuff coming out first physically and then making their way to streaming services. Because of that, I've watched some of the Yakuza films, the pinky female Yakuza films, Rico Ike jumping out of a bathtub fighting Yakuza completely naked in Sex and Fury bra. Oh yes, sir, I have that. The female prisoner 731 Scorpion Sasori films, blaxploitation, exploitation, and on and on. It was this aspect that I was missing at the time, or at least was in much shorter supply. So while in some ways I do bemoan the advent of streaming services and that it has killed off the physical actions of browsing and searching, it has made finding the impossible, or nearly possible, much more possible, given the lack of technology in the past. So this letter has been meandering about a bit, but hey, that's kind of like Quentin Tarantino's films, right? But I wanted to end this letter reflecting a little on my relationship with Quentin Tarantino post-Pulp Fiction. It was hard not to be totally enamored of him during his initial run, as it was almost breathtaking the stuff that he did. Not only had he directed Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction, two of the most awesome films ever, but he wrote the scripts for True Romance and Natural Born Killers. What could get more awesome than that? Then he goes and makes From Dusk Till Dawn with Robert Rodriguez, a freaking vampire film in a brothel? No way. Then he does Jackie Brown. To me, Jackie Brown is less a true Quentin Tarantino film and more an adaptation of Elmore Leonard's book, though with other Quentin QT flourishes in them, as Leonard and Tarantino's styles and sensibilities mesh very well. I tend to group Jackie Brown, Out of Sight, and Get Shorty together in the Leonard adaptation genre, that you should be, because Jackie Brown and is it Out of Sight, both have Michael Keaton playing the same character. The three films have many connections. Out of Sight and Get Shorty were both scripted by Scott Frank, who made The Queen's Gambit. John Travolta, Vincent from Pulp Fiction, stars in Get Shorty. By the way, Get Shorty got me into Touch of Evil big time. Michael Keaton plays the same character, Ray Nicolette, in both Jackie Brown and Out of Sight. While I like Jackie Brown, I don't love it like I love Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction. Then Quentin Tarantino takes forever to make Kill Bill. I think that lull hurt the momentum he had, or at least the momentum that I felt he had, because up until Jackie Brown, he was putting out something he either directed, wrote, or was involved in pretty much every year. Yeah, but then he ran out. He needed to figure out what he was going to do. He became such a cause célèbre and an enfant terrible. What do you do? Then you hear different rumors about what he wanted to do, and you start to get the feeling that it was becoming indecisive. There was always that Vega Brothers prequel that we kept hearing about. Then when Kill Bill comes out, I'm sure I watched them both, and I guess I like them to a degree, but maybe it was because I wasn't totally into the influences involved, or what's more probable is that it felt like it was much more of a straight-up pastiche of genres as opposed to an homage. I didn't want to see a literal katana fight or what appears to be a rip-off of all those kung fu training scenes where the student is getting his ass kicked by the old white-bearded Sifu. Was this when Quentin Tarantino started going straight-up self-indulgent? Maybe. But I guess I prefer the more subtle nods, like Butch grabbing the katana and going to rescue Marcellus. Also, the other reason why I didn't like Kill Bill as much is I felt Quentin Tarantino just turned up the violence a lot, like way over the top. While people think of his early films as violent, they weren't non-stop bloodletting gore. Come on, man. Haven't you ever seen Shogun Assassin? I always say that Quentin Tarantino's films have short, quick bursts of extreme violence. It was a turn away from that style that made me not like Kill Bill as much. But Grindhouse came, and I liked his death-proof portion of it a lot. Inglourious Bastards is my favorite of his later filmography. By the way, you mentioned how Quentin Tarantino's own hands are seen choking Uma Thurman. He did the same thing with Diane Kruger's Bridget von Hammersmark in Inglourious Bastards. Mm-hmm. What is it with him and choking his female leads? No, man, that comes from Dario Argento, who put his own hands in when he stabbed and killed women in all of his movies. But it did start a worrying trend of, oh, it's Quentin Tarantino's World War II film, or it's Quentin Tarantino's Western film. Just give me a Quentin Tarantino film, not Quentin Tarantino's world of genres. I've never watched Django Unchained or The Hateful Eight, as I don't really want Quentin Tarantino delving into the genres. Brah. You've got to watch Django Unchained.
Yes.
When he did The Hateful Eight, I kept thinking, come on, bro, go back to doing gangster films. Probably because I always felt that was his bread and butter. The other two things about Inglourious Bastards that made me love it was his intricate use of language. A lot of the film is not in English, and Quentin Tarantino, while apparently not speaking either language, wrote great sections of dialogue in French and German. Also, his love of films and cinema was woven into the plot in a fundamental way. His latest film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, continues the theme of incorporating his love of films and cinema into the story, as well as casually changing history, as he did in Inglourious Basterds. Was it overly long and self-indulgent? Sure, but in a good way. And certainly we've gotten used to it from Quentin Tarantino. If anything, I appreciated his return to somewhat more modern times, as I always felt that he works best writing in a modern voice. It's not a gangster film, but it's a step in the right direction, and I can't wait for his next, hopefully not his final film. Well, this letter's going on long, but hey, it's Quentin Tarantino, so what's new? I could go on and on and on about him, but I'm looking forward to your show on True Romance. I consider it a Quentin Tarantino film through and through, and it features outstanding performances, lines, and moments. The amazing dialogue between Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper, the Mexican standoff at the end, Brad Pitt as a stoner, what's not to love? It also introduced me to Street Fighter, Sonny Chiba, and that is indeed a very good thing, as I went and got his Street Fighter collection on tape. Until next time, I am, as always, your humble chairman, and thanks for reading.
Well, there you go.
There you go. And we've got people writing in, sending some chats. Should we go to those?
Yes, we shall.
Let's see what we got here. Eric Ant said something, but I'm going to put that in tomorrow's show because it's about alien sex, and I was talking about that on today's Robservations.
Okay.
So I'll read that tomorrow. So, Warren Wright. Warren, love you, Liz and Rob. It's a 4-glass movie. Well, here's to your date night. I hope we've acquitted ourselves admirably. J-Bob has subscribed to the channel. Thank you. So has Jason Proswig subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much. Eric White sends in a tip and says, Hey, Elizabeth, can you please tell us what it's like when Rob watches an episode of Star Trek Discovery? How many F-bombs do you typically hear? Thanks. You did watch an episode.
Yes, last night. Was
Yes.
it last night? I can't. The days blur together. But,
Yeah.
I fell asleep. But,
You did hear me bitch.
yeah, I can't even watch it. It's so...
Well, you've been
irritating.
watching Star Trek. You watched the original series, Next Gen, and Deep Space Nine now.
Yeah.
What do you think of Star Trek Discovery?
It's weird. It doesn't feel like Star Trek at all.
No, I know it doesn't.
It's very strange.
I agree. That's why I love you, babe. Dr. J Official, subscribe to the channel. 200 Watt Studio sends in a super chat and says, Hope you two are doing well. Recently bought a 4K player and I'm amazed at the upgrades. I know. Heard you have the Project 4K Star Wars films. I hope to get them too. I can neither deny nor confirm that I have those.
I guess you'll never know.
Hayden Holmes, subscribe to the channel. Thank you, Hayden. Optimistic Viewer sends in a tip and says, It might not be called Star Trek Burnham, but it was established from the beginning that she was the main protagonist, the hero. So, of course, she would be more intelligent than everyone else. Just like Kirk always figured things out, he was the hero. Yeah, but he was the captain of the ship. And Burnham, if she was truly a subordinate, but I think that the way that they've written her, she is the ultimate Mary Sue. Look, everybody believes they're special, and they've written a character who literally is the center of the universe in that show, and I can't go with that. Jonathan Aldridge sends in a super chat and says, Philip Alvarez wants you to do one on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Well, we could, but we just had, 3 movies that are Tarantino influenced.
Well, yeah, but aren't we doing a couple weeks of Tarantino?
Are we?
So,
is that what we're supposed to do?
isn't that what we decided
Oh, okay.
in our last show?
I guess so. So do we do Natural Born Killers next? Have you seen that?
I have not.
Well, maybe that's what we'll do on Saturday night. Oh,
All
that's
right.
gonna fuck you up.
Okay, let's do it.
We're
It's gonna fuck me up.
We're gonna do Natural Born. I'm telling you, Natural Born Killers will fuck you up.
Oh, am I not going to want to see it?
It's very interesting. It's really it's. Wait till you see the cast in that movie.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so that's what we do Saturday night.
All right.
Join us Saturday night for Natural Born Killers. There you go. So there you go, Jonathan. Philip Alvarez gets us. We're gonna do Natural Born Killers.
We might do it.
Yeah.
We might do Once Upon a Time.
Yeah. Philip Alvarez says one of my favorite Tony Scott films, may he rest in peace, and Quentin Tarantino before he became Quentin Tarantino. We're so stoked that you covered it. Well, I'm glad, Black Phillip Alvarez, as long as you're stoked, here's to you, buddy.
Whoops.
Cinema Gulp is here. Cinema Gulp sends in a super chat and says, "Hey guys, once again, Elysabeth, you look amazing."
Well, thank you, Cinema Gulp.
This film is in my rotating top 5 films of all time, Rob. More to come in my letter to Robservations. All right, then. And Timbula's here. While we've got Christian Slater on our minds, have you seen The Public, a film made by and starring Emilio Estevez? I have not, and I'm a fan. I've been a fan of Emilio Estevez since he made Wisdom a long time ago. Also stars Alec Baldwin, Christian Slater, Michael Kenneth Williams, Jeffrey Wright. If so, what do you think? I quite liked it. I've always wanted to catch up with it. I have not caught up with that, but one day I will. Warren Wright is back. Love you so much, Rob and Liz. Thank you so much for making date night perfect.
Aww.
Well, I think he's lighting out early because I hope date night's getting even better.
Right.
Maybe. Well, here's to you, Warren. I've never been made a date night before, but have you?
No. No,
Cheers
I have
to
not.
that. Jonathan Aldridge sends in a chat and says, "Rob, I with Elysabeth, there does not feel... I'm with Elysabeth. It does not feel like Star Trek at all." No, it doesn't.
No, not at all.
None of it.
Nope.
And Iron Wolf subscribed to our channel.
Awesome.
Well, we've been on for quite some time.
Yes, we have.
So it comes down to it on the Elysaviews scale. Why don't you tell people what our scale is?
Our scale is from 1 to 4 glasses.
1 to 4 glasses of wine.
Because there are 4 glasses in a bottle.
There are 4 glasses in a... Theoretically.
For us, there are 4 glasses in a bottle.
It's true.
So,
all right, then. 4 glasses in a bottle.
4 glasses in a bottle.
And?
So, I will give this film... I'm going to give it 4 glasses.
You're going to give it 4
glasses? I liked
glasses?
it that much.
You liked it that much?
I really did.
I'm going to give it 3.5 glasses.
Okay.
I'm going to give it 3.5 glasses. I love this film too, but to me, there's a few... From a filmmaking perspective, there's some things in it that I wish were a little bit... I still think the style is at odds with the script. But I mean, a 3.5 star movie is great. Look at Warren Wright says 4 glasses. I mean, people love this movie. I don't want to take that away from them. The Rich is talking about Miami Blues. I love Miami Blues. Miami Blues is a good movie.
I haven't seen it.
It stars Alec Baldwin. It's really good. Yeah, I can't. I can't go 4.
Okay, nobody's telling you have to.
So I'm gonna go 3.5.
All right, 3.5.
One day we're gonna have to make a chart. We'll have to make a chart. Oh,
yeah.
Black Phillip Alvarez. Let's see. Hang on, so I can read. I can't read. It says Tarantino hates and disowns Natural Born Killers, and thanks to Jonathan Aldridge for the shout out. Do what you want to do. I'll watch anyway. No, I think we should. If you haven't seen Natural Born Killers, we should do that. And I think the problem with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is it's so new. You know, I mean, everyone's seen it.
Right.
You know, everyone knows how great it is. So,
right. Well, we could do some of his other.
Yeah, I mean, you've never seen Reservoir Dogs, his first movie.
I have not.
Reservoir Dogs.
And I haven't seen Jackie Brown either.
Well, there you go. You haven't seen Jackie Brown. That would be, and Jackie Brown is an adaptation of a book. It's not an original, and so I think it's really interesting. I think it's a really good movie, but it's different because it doesn't have all the Tarantino isms in it. Mm-hmm. All right, well then I guess it's time to end this show.
It is. It's time. So
we're gonna do Natural Born Killers on Saturday.
Yes. All right
then. Well, are you going to take us out? Why are you looking at...
You're being so weird.
I'm not being weird. I'm like the show's over. What we have to like...
All right. So everyone you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear. And all you have to do is listen.
All you have to do is listen. That is fantastic. Yep. Well, thanks for beginning the next 100 episodes of Elysabeth with us with True Romance.
That's right.
Natural Born Killers is next, directed by Oliver Stone. From script by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he disowns the movie. Interesting. We will be watching the director's cut of Natural Born Killers, which is more violent and disgusting than the
Great.
original. Wait till you see it. It stars Woody Harrelson and,
Oh,
Juliette
okay.
Lewis
Yeah.
and Robert Downey Jr.
Okay, that explains a lot.
So it's very good. All right, folks. I will see you tomorrow on the John Campea show. I will be on my show, and then I have to stop talking.
Yeah, you need a break.
And with that,
Have
Toulouse
a better
barking.
night.
Have a butter knife. That was a good